Hey, welcome back to the Barrel Proof Baseball podcast. Today, we are joined by two guests, brother and sister, and co-owners of Boone County Jail Distillery, Nicki and Sean Stoller. Had a really great conversation with these guys. I cannot wait to get this posted. I've been sitting on it now for a couple of weeks. They were super cool. Really enjoyed my conversation with Nicki and Sean. And hopefully once this gets out there and some distribution gets around, or people who are in Indiana, which is where they're based out of, in Lebanon, Indiana, hopefully when people see their products around, they can give them a try. They're making really good whiskey, and the story is really cool. So check this out. Hope you enjoy it. Go find Boone County Jail Distillery on social media. Nicki's running that, and she's been really active on it. And they've got a really cool brand, cool story, really cool thing about it. And love the fact that it's a brother and sister running it. And really enjoyed my conversation with them. So I've invited myself to Indiana to go into the distillery and go drink with them. So if I get to Indiana soon and go visit some friends and family out there, I'm going to be stopping by Lebanon and checking out the jail. And it's actually a jail, like an old jail that they are running their business out of. So I'm not going to stay the night there. The offer was made for me to stay there, and I'm absolutely terrified of that idea. So there's zero chance I'm going to be doing that. But I will go look at it and visually see if it's a nice place, which I'm sure it is. Just not a place I'm going to stay overnight. But I'll go drink with Nicki and Sean. That's about it. A couple business things to take care of, as usual. If you're interested in supporting the Barrel Proof Baseball podcast, a couple ways you can do that. First and foremost is by Manscaped. Now, Manscaped, we got the Lawnmower 3.0, right? They sent me this. They sent me the travel bag. Okay, it's cool. They sent me some toner and some anti-chafing deodorant. So, check out Manscaped. Okay, go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code BPB for 20% off and free shipping. Okay, 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com with the promo code BPB. Next way, these links are going to be down below in the description, so check these out. Next one is from Bottomless Coffee. Okay, Bottomless Coffee is really cool. They got a cool thing going. They send you a Wi-Fi enabled scale. Put your coffee beans on there. Like you pick out your flavor profile that you like, your beans, your roast, your region. I'm going medium roast, single origin, big fan. And so once you start running low, the Wi-Fi capabilities send a message to Bottomless Coffee, and they replenish your coffee supply. So whole key is that you're not running out of coffee. So they got a cool thing going. Click the link and you'll get a free bag. I'll get a free bag. We all get free bags of coffee. So it doesn't really get any better than that. Check out the Bottomless Coffee link. If you're interested in being a monthly donor, check out the Patreon link if you'd like to help support the channel. There's another link for the Amazon store. Go check that out. If you want some Glencairn glasses or ceramic collectible coins, shoot me an email at barrelproofbaseball@yahoo.com. Last thing, if you guys have followed any of my Instagram stories or listened to my little commercial at the beginning of my podcast lately, I've been talking about walk-offs and whiskey. These guys are awesome. Just kind of got to know them through chatting a little bit on social media, and really like what they're doing. I think they've got a really neat thing going on with their brand and kind of getting that mix of baseball and whiskey, which we all love, or you should if you don't. But that says more about you than anything else if you don't love baseball and whiskey. So walk-offs and whiskey, if you go to their store, you put the code Barrel Proof Baseball, all one word, put that code in, you'll get 10% off on their products that they've got on their website. So check them out on social media. Go to their Instagram, Walk-Offs and Whiskey. Go to walkoffsandwhiskey.com. Take a look at their store, buy some stuff, support them. They're doing a cool thing. So that's all I got. That's the business. Go enjoy Nicki and Sean Stoller from Boone County Jail Distillery and listen to their story. Think you're going to like it. Enjoy. Good. All right. Nicki and Sean Stoller, thanks so much for joining me today. You guys are co-owners, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Boone County Jail Distillery in Lebanon. Did I pronounce it right?
Yep.
Lebanon, Indiana. All right, cool. All right. Well, tell me a little bit about yourselves outside of distillery life, if you would, a little bit.
Okay, so I would say I'm an avid reader. I like to play some golf here and there, and then I also do some volunteering with a couple youth groups.
What's your go-to read?
My go-to read, I've been really into thrillers,
Okay.
maybe some mystery. I'm also a huge crime junkie, so
Okay. Yeah,
those are usually my podcasts to go to as well. Some Dateline.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Those will keep you up for nights trying to figure them out.
But,
Sean, how about yourself?
A few years ago, caught the golfing bug. So I spend most of my free time doing that when I'm not with my 2-year-old or the wife, or working.
Good for you guys. I had golfed for a while, but then I realized I was so bad at it and I was just spending money on it to be bad, but I didn't want to spend the time or money to be good. So I just said, I'm good. I'm just going to drink whiskey.
That's fair. You definitely have to keep at it. It's not something you could just pick up and be good at. It's really hard.
Yeah, that's great. Good for you guys.
It's a good trade-off, though. Drinking the whiskey instead. Yeah, you can't, go wrong either way.
No, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, sometimes we combine the two, but
that's when it's good.
Yeah, that's when it's really good.
No doubt. Then I handle my my poor golf play a little bit better that way.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about you guys, kind of your individual roles at the distillery.
All right, Sean, you can go first.
Originally, so it's a family venture. So my dad's he's a silent partner, been involved, and so kind of our family's been in the liquor distribution business for almost 40 years now. Nicki was still in school when we purchased the Boone County Jail, so I moved down and really for the first 3 years got the licensing and the permitting, and my experience prior to that was in the sales. So that was always kind of where I was hoping to get back to. So we went through the permitting process, and so now I'm more on the production side still.
Are you distilling yourself?
No. So now every day we have a head distiller who runs the facility on day-to-day operations. Gotcha.
Okay. Nicki, how about yourself?
I do a lot of the sales and marketing. So I do the social media, and then I'm also in charge of expanding to different markets. For example, today we actually just shipped our first order out to Kentucky, which is really exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then in the next couple of weeks we'll have Georgia, and we're already in Indiana, Illinois, and Colorado.
Colorado seems to get everybody I talk to. It seems like everybody's getting into Colorado early, but nobody's coming to Arizona.
Arizona, hopefully soon.
Yeah, we should make that happen.
Yeah.
So I saw in the card that you guys had sent, and you just mentioned it, Sean, that you guys were a third or fourth generation with people in your family in the liquor industry. Mm-hmm. So you had sales, you said, and what else was there?
Yeah. So our grandfather had a trucking company back in the day, whose specialty was after Prohibition, delivering alcohol to stores. Our father from there started a liquor distributor, was later joined by the uncles. So again, a family affair. And yeah, they had a liquor distributor and distribution company in Illinois for 30 years.
Now, were you guys always liquor fans? There's not really a better way to word that. Were you guys always fans of liquor, say growing up?
Yeah, no, I love that. I'll jump in because, my dad now being the age that he is, won't mind me telling the story. I was 6, and my cousin, who's just 6-7 months older, she was 7. And we had he gave us our first shot, right, of vodka, and it was Black Death vodka, right? I have saved pictures of the coffin it came in, so that was always, we really grew up with, this is something like most things that you need to respect and limit yourself on, and no limitations. And So we really were taught like to respect alcohol, you know,
Right.
more than
And
Go ahead,
be
Nick, sorry.
like professional about it and kind of, you know, drink. So it obviously in Europe, they have a very different drinking culture than we do here. And to kind of have like, keep that in mind where you know, more drink to enjoy, to pair with a meal, to celebrate, but, you know, never to push it too far.
I've been to Europe not last year, the 2 years before that, 18 and 19, went to Ireland and a few places kind of in Central Europe. And it's definitely a different culture around the drinking there. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But I think that's cool. Like you said, you're taught to enjoy it, not go in the overindulging of it, which can happen from time to time.
Right. And another funny story. So when I was little, my nightlight was a vodka bottle that used to like kind of be like a strobe light. So like
That's
that was
great.
like what my dad brought home. He's like, oh, kid needs a light, and I got a vodka bottle that can do that.
Got some swag in the car.
Yeah.
1995.
That's great. So you're fans of it. I mean, you enjoy it, and obviously coming from, you know, a family in the industry and being taught to enjoy it the right way. And again, I think that was kind of one of the things I had faced when I told people I was going to do a podcast about whiskey, and they're like, oh, like Jack Daniels, and it's like, yeah, okay, like Jack's good, but it's a little bit deeper than that. It's not just ripping double shots of Jack and 2-for-1 nights in college bars, but so I think it's great, you know, just having that family background of it. But how did you guys go from that point of like, I enjoy it, yeah, the family's involved, but now like I want to do my own thing, open a distillery up and like really take that plunge and go from there?
Yeah, and kind of closing on the previous one that goes into this. I think it's, you know, it's important, right? I love both sides of the drinking, right? It's important to have one or two and be able to enjoy it. And on the other hand, there's a day maybe on the golf course, you know, you have a designated driver and you have a goal, and that goal is to get, you know, a few drinks in, and that's okay too. So
time and a place.
Right, time and a place. So the family distributor was essentially bought out, and it kind of gave us this other opportunity to do something else. And we didn't necessarily know what that was going to be, or my father. And this jail came up for auction. So it went down, and we ended up buying the jail that day. So it kind of happened overnight, and we, you know, knew that. We also have another company, I should say, that does importing. So we import some tequilas and scotches and some of that stuff, and do some national sales for some other small distilleries. So it wasn't so much of a leap, and it was something that we really do enjoy the educational side and digging deep into the different types of spirits. So when it was kind of like, holy cow, to buy this historical building and build a brand around this building was really, you know, we were going to be able to kill a couple birds with one stone using the jail.
Right. If there's one thing that we've learned from selling liquor all these years, is that a great starting point is the story. That's what the consumers really want to hear too.
I think that's the cool part. Like the people in whiskey that I've talked to, either like they have a cool story or the brand itself has a cool story, but like it always seems like there's some sort of cool story behind either the whiskey itself, the brand. You bought a jail that was like a working jail from 1877 to like 1992, right?
Yeah. They had rebuilt it somewhere between that, I think in the 1920s or 30s, but yeah. And then in 1990.
Oops, sorry, Nick.
No,
yeah. So yeah, like 1833 was like the first jail in that area. And then that jail there was built, it was redone in 1938. So 1938 to 1992, it actually served as the jail for up to like 75 people. And it's 14,000 square feet. And it was also built in the case of civil unrest or as like a nuclear fallout. So we actually have some water storage bins from like 1962 in the attic. Wow. And like, we have like these food rations that are like crackers from then.
Really?
That were like just in case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never know what could happen.
Yeah, right. Like you never know what happened in that place. Yeah.
So what were some, let's call them early challenges with either starting the brand itself or moving into a building that had been around for so long? Because when you bought it in what year?
I think 2015.
So what was it? What was it doing between 92 and 15?
So for a few years, so there's a tunnel that connects our sub basement to the courthouse across the street. So the county had to keep the building going to heat the courthouse. Then a few older gentlemen who were architects and engineers, they bought it. They bought the building from the city, hoping to do some like apartments and things. That never happened. And then they decided to just auction the building after just not selling it on their own.
So what were some early challenges with getting it started?
Sorry. So yeah, so it's real. Like I lost track there. So the real early problem was, and right off the bat, all the rooms are 14 to 16 inch poured concrete. So we really don't have any open large areas that have a forklift move around. A lot of the things that make warehouses perfect was the opposite. So we had the sub basement where the boilers used to heat both buildings. We were able to use that area for the stills and the full production area. So 3/4 of the building, the cells, it's a 14,000 square foot building, but most of the building is 2 stories of cells that are like a giant steel block. And our jail was actually built a few years after Alcatraz, and a few of the companies did the same work in both buildings.
Okay.
So we have like the same lever system and the same like catwalk in the middle. So it's historically just like endless. Yeah.
Did you guys have to go through any sort of like physical facelifts or anything like that to retrofit or anything to be able to use it as a distillery?
No, that was kind of one of the early philosophies is we're going to give the building, we'll take what we could get. So they said like a 3x3 block was going to be over like 455 pounds to remove. So they were requiring a forklift to remove parts of the wall, and we couldn't get a forklift in the building. So that was, and just the licensing. So it was just also a historical building. So we did have to work with the permitting process and working with the historical society to really get what we wanted done. And we really were limited on what we could do outside the building.
So you decide to start it, you buy the building, you're ready to roll. Like obviously whiskey's got to age. I don't know much about gin or vodka or anything like that, but I mean, do you start, like, I know Nicki mentioned doing some social media stuff. Like, do you guys start getting on social media right away to promote the brand, or do you have to wait? And like, what's that process like?
Well, a lot of distilleries will start with the vodka and the gin kind of to hold you over until, the bourbon is ready. So we kind of hit social media with that. Luckily, the community they really embraced us. So the vodka, the gin, the moonshine, local bars sell it and they do really well. And, kind of just hold us over until those are ready. But definitely interacting, especially with those bourbon communities, is just huge because there's so many bourbon enthusiasts.
Yeah, it's a big community.
It's
awesome. And a lot, I think, too, of the early on with the first like 6 months to a year, we knew was going to be experimentation. And then really, not garbage because, in this industry, we get to drink our mistakes. But one of our first products is our conjugal visit moonshine, which is 2 white whiskeys, essentially. They're both 100% corn. One we took off the pot still, and the other we took off the column still. So then we blend the 2, to give like, what we would consider like a Midwest farmer who's using his corn, like sweet, but you're going to feel that burn in moonshine. So like part of what we wanted to do was have a little bit of something for everyone, whether it was vodka or gin, or we have apple pie moonshine and lemon drop moonshine.
I saw that apple pie on the website, by the way. That looks incredible.
Yeah, definitely one of our best sellers.
I bet.
And kind of, we really want to do everything kind of organically, more grassroots. So once we had the Kinnard and Drake, we shipped it first, and then we started reaching out, mainly in Indiana and Illinois. because so I've kind of learned some lessons on just try to get the product out there and then really try to get the ball rolling downhill.
Did you guys to get whiskey out early? Did you guys source whiskey early before doing your own?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was one of the very first kind of awakenings, if you will, was the cost difference in making things from scratch versus buying stuff from MGP. So very quickly, it was not the business plan, but it almost like a fourth of the cost to do that same barrel of 53-gallon filled, that savings that we get to pass along to the consumer, right? And I mean, these big guys have been doing it for 200 years, right? So they have it down to a science, which is, what this is to a degree. So we're always going to probably end up having like a MGP offering that's more at a lower end price, if you will, now that it's cheap. And then we're going to have our stuff, which will be much more craft. And that's where it's more, you get to taste what we've made as we grow and the spirit grows, not just age, but in taste and complexity.
What is that process like when you get with MGP? Is that something that it's like you go and say like, hey, this is the bottle that we're going to come out with. Like we want it to have, whatever mash bill you choose. Like, do you try and match that to what you're going to be putting out? Or is that something that, you just find something that you really like and then your own stuff is completely different?
Yeah, I think our first welcome, high package from MGP was like 25 to 30 different whiskey samples. So not just bourbons, but, I guess more specifically like 8 different types of just bourbon, mash bills. So we tasted it with a bunch of people and industry friends who we really highly, we have the right palates. And we found one that we thought we liked. And for this, we were really going for more what we considered traditionally normal, like bourbon profile.
So for consumers.
Now so like you say, the approachable one for the consumers, what's the price point on this one?
$34 to $35.99.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
that works.
Very great to get on a retailer's shelf, especially for a 5-year.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got the straight bourbon label in the 5-year. That's that's like you said, to get that on the shelf at $35 is pretty nice. I would definitely agree with that.
So, and it is kind of go back to, it is stuff we bought almost 4 years ago. So not, it doesn't change too much, but we do have a warehouse where we age all of our other MGP stock. So everything we make at the jail is at the jail and everything else is within a mile.
So you make stuff at the jail and then age it there. And then you've got a secondary site.
Yes.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Makes sense. I was gonna say that'd be tough to have everything in one spot.
Oh, it would be so tough, and it would be logistically with the cement walls, it would be so difficult to do the bottling line all in one building and everything like that.
How many barrels can you store at the jail?
It's a good question. We're actually about to build our third rack there.
Okay.
It's in each different room. So in each different room is like a different level almost in the jail. Almost everything we do is in the basement level of the jail or the sub basement. So I think right now we got about 60 barrels. And in the beginning we were experimenting with 30-gallon barrels because we've made rum and we have I think we have 5 different types of whiskeys that we've made.
Oh wow. What's the preference for you in terms of making alcohol? Is it, I have to, again, I don't know anything about making gin or vodka, but the whiskey making is fascinating to me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Great question. Right. At the beginning when we really sold this and we tasted it, never really knew the extreme science behind fermentation in that mash bill. So we kind of, our moonshine, that's 100% corn. That was the first thing. We got locally sourced corn and we got really lucky. There's a malt house in Lebanon who's doing some amazing things with different types of malts. But But all of a sudden we're like, holy cow, this is tough. Why isn't our yeast doing this? And our alcohol's not as high. And, we started talking to some people who, industry friends who've really helped us along. And they're like, hey, corn's going to be really tough, So just learning from making our mistakes and testing and tasting has really been amazing. So, I like to start with, the gin has really been the most eye-opening in a way, because it really is tea. The botanicals you would use in a tea bag at home in hot water is what we use for gin. We let it sit in essentially, high proof vodka, and then we throw it in the gin. And the alcohol got the oils out of the botanicals. And then when we distill it in the still, we get all these layers of flavors. And it is like controlling the flavors in our end product through the cuts in the still. So that's where that process has been really eye-opening then for the whiskey, because now when we taste every 15 minutes, our head distiller, just a finger under the still and a quick dab on the tongue, because the more and more you do it, the more and more you could taste and feel what's coming out of the still.
Wow.
So, and like you were saying, we have 2 different types of bourbons now we've done, with a high rye mash and then a low rye mash, a wheated bourbon. We've done 2 different rye whiskeys, just being malted and not malted percentages. And then, like everybody, we've got a few barrels of 4 grain, and we just went ahead and did 25% of all 4 grains.
Wow.
Right. And we're going to go ahead and call it Even Steven.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And it's
good place to start.
Yeah. So it was, because it's like, this is what it is, and it's confusing, but it does taste different. And that's, what this is about, getting people to see the difference in different products.
It's so funny. Like, I've had people that I've talked to, and it's got to be fun, like spring training, walking around and seeing some of the big league players. And I'm just like, yeah, it's awesome. I love it. And then at the same time, I'm going, man, it's got to be so cool to be in a distillery, to be able to walk around and try different things. And if you're in a position to say, hey, let's add some more wheat to that, or let's add some more, rye to this one. And how fun is that? That's got to be incredible for you to be able to just be able to have that creative, control over doing stuff like that.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Right. So rewarding and so hair pulling at the same time. Right. Because again, that's, the fermentation, right, is going to be 4 to 6 days. And then it's got to go in the still. Right. And for us, size wise, we'll do 3 cooks of 240 gallons to fill 1 barrel, a 153 gallon barrel. So that's 4 distillations, and so it's just amazing how the science of that really works and fills up.
Yeah. It's like sometimes when I taste something like the 100% rye we had, I was like, oh, can we make more of that? Let's make sure that we have a lot of that in 5 years when I'm going to sell it.
What do you guys what kind of whiskey do you typically drink outside of, you have to say something outside of Boone County Jail? You can't pick your own, but what would be your normal whiskey at home?
It's a great question.
Yeah. At home is a little more difficult. I like to say at a bar. Okay. Right. When my options are more limited. Yeah. I'd go something more like a Maker's Mark. Okay. I do like a wheated bourbon. Mm-hmm. So,
Nicki, what about you?
Maker's Mark. There's, different ones and different price points. I mean, you guys had Breckenridge on. I used to sell Breckenridge. I'm a big fan of their stuff too.
Yeah, I like them. I really like my conversation with Brian. And he was kind of the same way. You have a conversation with somebody about, hey, how'd you get started? And everybody's got a cool story,
Right.
But it makes it fun.
Yeah, I sold his stuff for 2 years, and it would have been really cool to have listened to your podcast while I was doing that.
I think, I never got into gin. It was funny, when we were in Europe, I started noticing how many people were into gin, and I never got into gin. I think I had a bad first experience with it. Not being overserved. I just didn't care for it. And then a buddy of mine gave me a bottle a year ago, and I was like, well, this is really good. So I think there's probably like different levels of it that you can enjoy a little bit more. But when I had my first one, I'm like, it's Christmas in a cup, and I'm not into it.
Yeah, ours is more of a New World style, which is
Mhm.
definitely more citrus and floral notes rather than the juniper that comes out in those other styles. I like our style because it's like perfect for at-home cocktailing. Definitely some more.
Yeah, the
fun
one I
flavor.
had was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Definitely some good more flavors.
The one that my friend had given me had that citrus, and it was way different because that juniper I was like, this is not okay at all. So I stick with the brown water. I don't even dive into the others.
Oh, I like that. Brown water is good.
Yeah, I gotta stick where I know I'm gonna enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah, less of a guessing game. And that is too, like, kind of just throw on there, because it was so interesting that I'm with you, most gins, right, especially through college, it's London dry. Like, all gins are supposed to taste like this. Where now you get a lot of the American gins and lower alcohol off the still and a lot more oils. So it's almost more like the flavored vodkas that have taken over, or at least
not
in the
for
early
me.
2000s.
Yeah,
right.
No, that was not into them. But I would, after trying a good one, I was like, you know what, I could see myself trying other ones that you find out are good. But like you said, like the London Dry, the ones that are in a plastic bottle and it says like Steve's Gin on the bottom shelf, I'm not even gonna touch that. Just
no amount of mixer is gonna make that different.
No, you can't make that good. Now, have you got? So you said you had was it 100% rye?
Yes.
The high rye. So you go 100% rye, which I just tried one recently. And I really liked it. And I wasn't into ryes for a long time, but I've started to like those a lot more. Have you guys dove into like the high proofs that everybody seems to be in the fanboy era about right now?
Yes. Yeah, we for sure have. And I'll even going on the risk of offending anyone.
I know, that sounded really bad, but it's just what it is. Like,
no, well, no, I'm gonna make it worse. Gas on the fire. I like a high proof bourbon with some ice, and I drink it quick. But so we're definitely gonna offer that. We were in the works of also doing a single barrel program, right? Because there's something about the small batch, if you will, but the more your more entry level, like everyday bourbons, and the consistency that they bring, which is great. But then the single barrels and barrel proofs are really something different, if you don't mind a little bit of a surprise.
Sure. It's because what's this one, 94, right? Yeah, 92. I mean, that's a great proof point, I think, for anybody. And like you said, the high proofs, I mean, I like some high proofs too. Some of them, I think they're just getting to a point where you're like, dude, are you just showing off at this point? Because like 140 proof that's not enjoyable to sit down and sip. I'm sorry. It's just not, I don't know. It's just warm and not really into it.
Yeah, maybe take a little longer for me. I'm gonna let that ice cube really melt.
Yeah,
right?
and then put another one in.
It's not. Yes. So I'm with you. It's tough to drink gasoline, right?
But they're super popular right now.
Yeah. No, there's a little something for everyone, especially now.
Yeah. I think
there's like the 1%ers, right, if you will. Like the real whiskey enthusiasts who need to try a little of everything to see what the difference is.
Yeah, I think like the relative term of small batch is also kind of gets a little bit lost. Like Elijah Craig's small batch is probably a little bit different. Their small batch is putting out more than what craft distilleries are putting out. I mean, so what's really like a small batch? Like, I'm just finding that the amount of quality with the craft distilleries are just significant. I don't want to say higher, like in a bad way towards like big companies, but I'd rather support a craft distillery place that's coming out with bottles that they're more hands-on with.
Yeah. Sean, what would our small batch be? Like, how many cases again is one barrel?
Yeah, no. So, and that's both here hitting it on the head, right? So I believe legally, TTB wise in the federal government, small batch is under 500 barrels blended. Right. So we lay about 60 barrels a year. Okay. Yeah. 500. Right. So we talked about consistency earlier. Yeah, the big guys are doing like 100, 10,000 barrels to get a year's worth of inventory.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, even these MGP barrels alone, or as an 11 barrel blend, is just, it's like nothing anyone else has blended, because those 11 barrels are just so unique. And we've got 100 barrels all from the same day, and we've tasted all those barrels, not in one day, but none of them are the same. There's no twin barrels. Yeah. And it's all the same clear juice that went in. So it's really like one of those amazing experiences to see all the different results from the same product at the start.
And it's funny because like MGP puts out good whiskey. There's a lot of really good places that use MGP. They put out really good whiskey. I mean,
right.
Like,
everyone uses MGP.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's just like a stigma where people, oh, it's MGP. Like, who cares, dude? You're drinking MGP probably more often than you even know you are.
Right. Some people just decide to embrace it, while others maybe.
Yeah. I've seen that for sure.
Yeah. And even MGP in the actual facility there has an amazing history, being, the original Seagram's plant. So, and it really is a whole town dedicated to making whiskey. Whether or not, right, like really, listeners, if you want to look into MGP and like the people and the city that it is there, it is amazing. So that's a tour if you could get there.
Yeah, that's got to be a fun one.
Yeah, and that is like, it's unbelievable. And, half the people there are scientists. It is like, right. So, yeah.
Because I know that there's a couple of bottles that come out of MGP that are really expensive bottles that are out there, and I mean they're MGP, so when people want to bash it, like there's really good bottles coming out of there, and there's bottles you're paying a lot of money for that are MGP,
right? And it is about what's in the bottle. But kind of going back to what you were saying, yeah, it's just, there is something about once you start scaling up, you do lose a little something that's different, right? For better or worse, you're going to sway one way or the other, which is fine, but you will get a different product at the end of the day. So, and that's what's fun, and different about each of these.
Now you guys are doing different vodkas as well, right? Was there a corn one and a potato one? Am I accurate on that or wrong?
No, yeah, right now we have 2 corn vodkas. We're doing some different filterings.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in some different states. So
gotcha.
Yeah, we're kind of trial and erroring now with some of our filtering techniques, and yeah, hopefully one day. That is the goal, though.
Yeah,
because I like me some potato vodka, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no. There's tomato juice in my fridge and some other things to mix up, and those work just fine for me too.
Yeah, maybe some bacon, you fry up.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
You had me at bacon.
We're going to AZ. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing when you guys are in town.
We have your address, right?
Yeah. You send it out here. You guys know where I live. If I get a knock on the door one day, we'll be good. My dog will go crazy, and people are going to come in and have some Bloody Marys.
Yeah. Oh, you got a dog? Then I'm definitely there.
Oh yeah. The fact that she's not over here barking like crazy just to sit here by me is insane. Okay. So tell me, well, first, I know Nicki, you had stuff you wanted to share, but can you take me a little bit through this one here, the Kinnard and Drake? I know these guys, they founded either Boone County or Lebanon, right?
Yes. Yep. So our gracious librarian next door on one of our early days before really opening and trying to get some names and learning about the town, George Kinnard was on the Indiana legislation. And in 1832, they needed a county seat more centrally located in Indiana. So he ran out with his business partner, General Drake, and they bought like almost 200 acres or so. And a few months later, sold it back to the states for a significant profit. So originally we wanted to kind of tip our hats at like, what today would be like insider trading. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Sure.
Some serious opportunists.
Yeah,
yeah, that's all.
hey, we appreciate that. And Lebanon's a swamp. So it really made no sense for the, state to buy this swamp and turn it in. So it's been fun. So that's Kinnard and Drake. But yeah.
I think that's, I think that's really cool. Cause I was looking them up because, again, like there's so many different names in whiskey and whether they're like significant in whiskey or an area or whatever. Like, so I think it's cool that you guys are, paying respects to those guys. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah,
we appreciate that because we have some POS that's going to go out with like kind of their resumes. Because they both kind of died young, but really lived young and wild and free, and lived some crazy lives in the early 1800s.
Like the bottling's cool, like the labels. Sorry, my little lights shine on. I mean, I like this, man. This is really cool looking. I love the fact. I like that you guys have your name on the back of the bottle too. I think that's cool. Getting like it's your thing, man. Like that's awesome. I think that's great. Take me through this thing. So it's aged 5 years, right? It's a straight bourbon. Did you want to share this right now, Nicki, or do you want to?
You got Nicki. You talking about like the barrel hats?
Yeah, Sean, why don't you do you have it pulled up? For some reason, I think Tony, you might have to turn on the screen.
Oh, this is my see.
It's okay. If you could try.
Oh, there we go. Too. Hold on. All right, go ahead. It should be working now.
This is just kind of a little thing we use, and because obviously I'm not, we're not Harry Potter fans, right? So this is our barrel sorting hat, and we put it on top of each barrel as we fill out our whiskey tasting sheet. But all of these we're using this to go through each barrel. So on the top we got spice. Towards the bottom is the opposite, and that's going to be sweet aromatics. And then on the left side, we've got 4 quadrants here. You guys, sorry, it's a podcast. To the left, we got grain, and to the right is the wood flavor, right? And we're talking about individual barrels, and either it's going to be more on the grainy side, and that's where we're talking more of like a wheat feel or like the rye, and that we're really talking more about like the mouthfeel and the body. And then when we say wood, we really use that more as like the char and use that as like a dryness, which then would more affect not just the taste, but like the balance of each whiskey. And then just towards the top, we got spice, which we're more talking about like black pepper, cinnamon, spearmint, tobacco. And then the sweet aromatics, we're just more talking about things you would get off the nose. And we go through every barrel, and that's how we ended up doing 10 different blends of our 55 5-year-old barrels. And we really kind of use this to go with more of almost a mathematical way of our blending to get our consistency.
How many people do you have in on this tasting process? Like in terms of, because I think one thing you see is like, because it's always fun for me to like look things up, right? And I'll get a bottle of something and look up just what people's tasting notes are. And I think they're very like subjective, but one person will say, oh, it's caramely with a hint of, toothpaste. And somebody else goes, oh, it's wood with a hint of like prime rib. You're going, dude, you're not even close to each other. So how do you kind of get to a point where you even all those things out, so you have something that at least in your mind is consistent enough to put out in a bottle that represents the flavor profile that you're going for?
Yes. No. So that's start to finish. There's probably like 8 to 10 different people. And I think we really had like 4 or 5 of us when we started doing our like 10 blends of 11 barrels each. And we went more off of kind of a master, because like you're saying, right, no one's going to taste the same thing. So I think we more just went off a master one that a few of us helped just put together. And then a lot of times we would do these full sheets that we could all, go through later. But yeah, and try to find some common ground, right? So it's tomato. My wife also drinks bourbon, and you know what? When we go to restaurants, we order 2 random bourbons, and we never want to drink the same one. She wants one and I want one, right? So
great.
Yeah, but I think we found a common place of like what we agreed on, whether like, is the body full or light, or full or light, and is the texture, we go creamy, sharp, or round. So a lot of times we'll talk about like the roller coaster of flavor. Does it start up and then go down, and just what kind of turns does it take in your mouth and the mouthfeel. So once we kind of found some common ground, we look at like the chart and we see what barrels, and we switched a few around and end up with something that we felt was like short and sweet, kind of like pun intended.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm sure everybody has their version of doing things, but I like the visual of this. It definitely was, it definitely works. I can kind of put yourself in like each area that you're looking at to come up with something that you feel like you're tasting.
Yeah. And then, right, Nick, I mean, we kind of would argue, well, should it go more in the sweet, or is it more,
Yeah. So, the whole process, tasting all of those barrels, it made for a fun, nice weekend, a lot of reminiscing and
some nice lunches.
Yeah, nice lunches, dinners, breakfast. It was
probably leads to good golf too.
Yeah. Oh, I think that weekend we should probably stay off. But
wow, that's cool. That's definitely cool. I've never seen that process being done like that.
Yeah, so fun. And a lot of highlighters and colors.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
And I think we had gotten it down to maybe 2 or 3 different blends, and then from there we kind of tinkered with different barrels. If we felt that it needed more of a spice barrel in there, then we would switch something out like that.
So like, for example, if let's say you do feel like you need more spice, do you go to like a barrel that's like a rye, for example, or does that change that mash bill too much that you don't want to go to like 100% rye, get some of that in there in the blending, and then it changes that overall mash bill that you're going for? Or does that matter less than what the taste is actually doing?
So they're all the same mash bill.
Mm-hmm.
So it would just be a barrel that kind of picked up more spice,
just flavor preferences
in the aging process. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so Nick, I don't know if do you have the whiskey tasting note blank sheet up? So this is okay. Yeah, no big deal. So when we kind of really, I think you're also kind of asking like, right, for the palate section, the first thing is flavor. Is it sweet, grainy? Does the wood predominantly, or is it more of a spice? So then based off that, like you're saying, if we want to, if we want to add some spice, we're going to look at one that was maybe, on the wood side, take that out, and then find one. So then even lower down is balance. And then we do percentages for grain versus wood,
okay.
And then we'll kind of, experiment a few barrels in and a few barrels out.
Wow. That's gotta be so much fun. Like I'm a little jealous. Like that's gotta be so awesome. Now have you
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, have you done any or thinking of doing any like any finishes, any type of finishing barrels?
Yes. Yep. So that's yes. We have thank you for asking. We have now we are waiting to bottle and waiting for the labels. Our first series, which is going to be it's just a toasted finish. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be this 5-year, well, it was 4-year at the time. So it's a straight bourbon finish and just toasted barrels. So char.
Okay. No. I was going to say, can you get into that a little bit? Because I think I've kind of read that some companies that are doing like the toasted or the barrel finish, whatever you want to call it, like some of them are only toasting it and some of them are lightly charring it. Some of them aren't really doing much at all. Like, how does that process work? Is that mainly a toast with no char? How long is that aging process? I apologize that I cut you off and you were going to answer those anyway, but there it is.
Yeah, no, perfect. So yes, no char. So it is just toast. And I believe this first batch went about 11 months.
Oh, wow.
So we tasted it we tasted it almost weekly, especially towards the end. And once we start getting, some other flavors that are a little more less favorable, less favorable flavors, we pull it. And we were really looking for something specific, because what we really felt like when we were trying to figure out how long do we age these before we sell them and bottle them. Some of these older bourbons, 7-10-year-olds, to me and us, they were on like a drier, woodier side.
Yeah.
And that's
take on that oak.
Feel.
Yeah.
Yes. Where I wanted, we wanted something that just more had this more, I don't know how more of a heated mouth feel from that wood.
Sure.
Yeah. So
is there a toasted barrel that's out there? Is there a toasted barrel that's out there right now that you feel like you were trying to kind of find that same flavor profile?
No, not necessarily. Years ago, when one of our best or some of our closest friends who have really helped us have been Michter's in Kentucky. Just great people. And years ago, when we were selling their stuff in Illinois, they had, when they first came out with their toasted bourbon, and I still remember tasting it, and it was just so unique, and it was like, wow. And they still had plenty of char in there, but it was this other flavor that really kind of opened my eyes to like, hey, this is something else.
Yeah.
And that kind of lit that fire. And once we started making our own, it was kind of like, how do we get this product out of the barrels? So
I can't remember if like Nicki, you said you saw the one with Brian Nolt, but I don't remember if it was him or Tim Piersant from Chattanooga that said like when they put their own stuff out or did a finishing thing for the first time was like the scariest thing they've ever did. Because like we're taking good bourbon, like bourbon that we would normally sell on its own, and we know it's good, and we're going to take it while it's good, put it in another barrel, and like hope it ends up good in another 6 to 8 months.
I think that was Breckenridge. They do.
It's got to be frightening.
Yeah, no, it's very scary.
Yeah. Right. Well, and that's so. One of the first things we did was we aged some of our gin in some used bourbon barrels. So that's another product, that we haven't released yet that we're now getting some labels for. And right, again, like every month getting to taste this was just insane. So yeah, just like such a unique experience. And again, you start to see some other flavors come, and it's like, oh, hit the brakes and we're dumping this bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine that's a little frightening, but it's got to be cool though to just be able to go, hey, let's just try this. Let's see how this goes.
Why not? What's a barrel or two, right?
Yeah, we can do this. Because if it turns out like it's something new and cool that other people, might not be doing, or you're doing it better, then, it takes off. Like, that's awesome.
Yep. And that's definitely what like the barrel gin was. There's a bunch of little guys who do it, but you don't ever find a lot of them. And it's really kind of fun because to me, it's the ultimate stepping stone to drinking bourbon straight.
Sure.
Is starting with a gin that's flavorful. And you get some of those bourbon notes and notes from the barrel, and it's a start, off and running.
Now what are you guys open to, like, can the public come by and see you guys or tour or anything like that? Like, how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, nope. Now since COVID, we haven't been open to the public.
Okay.
And we're kind of still waiting to see what's happening there. And we've limited, since this has started, people in the building to production crew. But we do hope in the very near future, when restrictions lift, to have a tasting room up and going again. And everything's in the cells. So it's like we've now the tables and most of the seating's actually in the cells. So
that's a restaurant, right?
Yes. So the restaurant has been closed since COVID.
It has.
So yeah, that will reopen more as a tasting room and cocktail oriented.
Now, is the restaurant you guys' as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. It's a good gig. So that's a restaurant and distillery. I've got family like an hour away from you guys, so I'm gonna wait till COVID's over, and I'm going out there, and I'm coming over for distillery / restaurant funness.
Sounds
Please.
good.
That's happening.
We'll let you spend the night in one of the cells.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'm scared of everything, so like that might be that could get me.
I don't get out scary easily, and that would be scary for me.
Yeah, keep the door open and like some lights on or something. We can talk about it, but or depending on how open the distillery is, I might be perfectly fine with crashing wherever I crash.
Right. Yeah.
Well, cool. So you guys, what's in the future? Like, what's the next couple of years look like for you guys? Anything? Obviously, like you said, you had a couple of ideas. You're gonna wait on some labeling, but what else? Anything in the future that people should know about?
Yeah, hopefully, really, it's the distribution.
Mm-hmm.
This last year, we were supposed to hit the East Coast and 7 states in that area, in Georgia and Kentucky and Florida, and so a lot of areas that really have hit some COVID obstacles.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we got a few more Conjugal Visit moonshine flavors coming out, and we're gonna have probably a few other whiskeys too. So. Oh, well, and I'm sorry, we have our Poet's Potion Absinthe. So, which has been pretty much almost the same as gin, just a whole different category of botanicals, including wormwood. So you said you spent some time in Europe.
Yeah, we got to get to this really quick because in 2019, I was in Prague, and our Airbnb was literally like across the alley from an absinthe bar. And I'd seen Euro Trip so many times that I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to see the flying green thing. So I didn't step foot in this place. I kind of wish I did. My buddy I was with wanted to go there, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, what if the green guy shows up? Like, what is absinthe? And I'm like, because it's not a hallucinogen, right?
Yeah, that's right. How fun. So, and love Road Trip. That's how is Euro Trip. So yeah. Wormwood is an old mythical drink. It's almost like bathtub gin during Prohibition. And it was green because these people were using either chemicals or they were cooking it, like in their copper bathtub, and they got green leaching. But they used wormwood, which by itself will make you hallucinate because of thurione. Yeah, but no, in current, anything you see wormwood in, the alcohol would get you way before the little green guy, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we do use the maximum amount of wormwood.
So, we'll see how everybody reacts to that.
Yeah, it's always a good goal to see the little green man. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you're doing absinthe right. And do you guys have, like, I know you mentioned some distribution and obviously wanted to expand it, but can people in other states order? Can they order directly either from you guys, or are there any online services or anything that people can order you guys through?
No, currently we do not ship directly at any consumers, and we're still, the states we're in, we're working with people who, it's a real gray area.
That's a pain, right? Like this legality of it's a pain shipping that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taxes, or excuse me, it's the states worrying about getting their tax money. So, and you don't mess with states and their tax money.
No.
So
I'm from California, so
bear.
I know.
Oh, okay, that's but hey, they'll let them ship wine, but if it gets to be something fun, then you can't ship it.
I mean, if it's red, you're good, but the brown water, don't you dare.
Pretty much.
Right? Unbelievable.
It's crazy. Social media, where can people find you? The good thing is we've got a lot of people in our organization, and also for people that, friends of mine that have been listening to this, that travel around enough and they get into, some of the places that you guys are going to be able to be found in. So where can people find you on social media? How can they connect with you?
So Boone_Co_Jail_Distillery. You could also just visit our website at boonecojaildistillery.com, and all the links will be there too. And we are recently been also doing TikToks, which is totally different, but it's fun because it kind of gives people more of a glimpse inside of where the space we're working in. So thinking
I will
that.
I will tell you in 100% honesty, if I wake up in the middle of the night or I can't sleep or get up really early, I'm guaranteed to be scrolling through TikTok like you would not believe. We did a competition with some of our players on TikTok, and so I haven't deleted it because it's way too entertaining. So
it is so entertaining, especially if you're on bourbon.
Oh yeah.
And you see all like the reviews. Like, it is so cool.
Yep. It's definitely a trip. It's something people need to be aware of and need to like take seriously and go check it out.
I 100% agree. It's probably one of my favorite platforms to work with.
No, I don't blame you one bit. Well, Sean, Nicki, really appreciate your time. I'll make sure I put links in for you guys. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got $1 million question, being from the suburbs of Chicago and the baseball, and I went to college and in Missouri. So I was surrounded by Cardinals fans.
Yeah.
David Ross making, the conversion to manager. Is he going to bring the Cubbies another World Series? What do you foresee?
I work for a National League team, so I'm going to say no. However,
I didn't know which side you were. That's fair.
No, it's okay. Now, I will say everything I've ever heard about David Ross as a human has been nothing but positive. I've had friends that played with him that said he is just the greatest dude in the world. And I think for a guy to go as quickly as he did from player to manager and have the respect of the guys that he was playing with, and then now he's coaching, now he's their manager. I think that shows a lot about him as a person and how well respected he really was, because that cannot be an easy transition. Now, granted, I was younger, but like I almost had I did have an opportunity to stay. I went to school at the University of Nevada, and when I got done, it was pretty much told to me that I wasn't very good at baseball or not as good as I was hoping I was going to be, and I was going to have a chance to stay on and coach. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, I can't coach these guys. Like, I just spent 3-4 years doing things with them off the field that I can't now go coach them. But so I think for a guy like that to have the respect of those guys that were his teammates just a couple of years ago, I think it's pretty cool. So I hope they get second place in the National League. So
I take that as a Cubs fan. So
I'd be okay with them getting like the NLCS ring, as long as it's losing to the Dodgers.
Okay, right, perfect. That's fair.
It seems fair.
Yeah,
but St. Louis. Picking up Arenado, like that he's good. It's gonna be a fun year. I think people are just gonna be happy that baseball's back and sports in general are picking back up a little bit, and so we'll see.
Yeah. No, amen. So really nice. So.
Awesome. Well,
really
Nicki, Sean, you guys, thanks so much. I'll definitely let you guys know before I put this out.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Talk soon.